From time to time, you guys ask us, how safe is Nice? We're going to check some hard facts, but let me assure you that Anja and I have been living here for over 20 years and we feel super safe.
And to get an idea of how safe tourists and locals feel, we asked random people on the streets of Nice, and of course we'll show you what they said. But first, there are plenty of crime statistics available for France and its major cities, where obviously the crime rates tend to be higher compared to smaller towns and rural villages. But bear in mind, crime rates and statistics may not always reflect people's sense of safety and can be interpreted in various ways. So, although not really huge, Nice is one of the largest cities in France. So naturally, certain statistics may be higher compared to other regions. Plus, Nice is the capital of the French Riviera, where you'll find a higher concentration of millionaires than in any other part of the country, except for the Paris region. And where there's money, there's crime. But let's take a closer look at some numbers. This article says that Nice is among the safest big cities in France. And right here it says that there are 78 other cities with more than 22,500 inhabitants in France that have a higher crime rate than Nice. Okay, there are also 293 of those rather smaller cities that are considered safer than Nice. Cannes and Antibes, for instance, are considered less secure than Nice, according to the 2023 statistics. However, in our subjective experience, we've never felt scared, let alone been mugged or attacked anywhere on the French Riviera, whether during the day or at night.
According to the city of Nice, Nice is the city within France that has the most video cameras that monitor public areas. More than 4,000 cameras in all of Nice.
Installed throughout the city, monitor the tram lines, high-definition multi-lens cameras at the supervision center who keep an eye on the cameras around the clock and who take more than 80,000 calls a year from people calling the local police. Panic buttons in public buildings linked to the supervision center. Emergency call stations in public spaces also linked to the supervision center. And then, on top of the technical devices, there are municipal police officers, that is one officer for every 620 inhabitants. Surveillance officers that monitor public areas. And since the terrorist attack on the Promenade des Anglais in 2016, there has been a significantly increased police and military presence in public spaces, along with the aforementioned emergency call stations, which can be found at various places all throughout the city and in underground tram stations. Regarding the cameras, it's difficult to statistically prove their effectiveness, but they may deter some crimes from occurring.
At first, we weren't really sure if we were going to tell you about this because we didn't want to scare you, but actually Anja, myself, and nearly all of our friends have already been robbed at home. So this is kind of a common thing here. You have to expect that, and you can maybe even put a piece of paper in your house and tell the robbers, we've already been robbed, there's no more jewelry in the house.
We did this actually.
Yeah, because it's gonna happen. For you as tourists, though, the main concern are going to be the pickpockets. That's a big issue here, as in every other big city all over the world.
There are a few spots in Nice where you should be especially vigilant about pickpockets, and the risk increases during major events, such as the Carnival or the Formula One race in Monaco. Therefore, keep your mobile phones, wallets, and jewelry secure when at the airport, in crowded areas such as the Old Town, on the beach, particularly during the summer, and while using public transportation, especially the tram. But to us, even pickpockets have never been a problem down here. Paris seems to be a riskier place when it comes to pickpockets. And even Paris is not a place to be scared of. One last aspect we'd like to mention is that there are a few neighborhoods in Nice, as in any big city, where you should stay away, namely L'Ariane and Les Moulins. But honestly, there's no reason for tourists to even accidentally wander there. So, before you hear what some locals and tourists told us about how safe they feel in Nice, here's what you should remember. And we promise you'll have a safe trip to Nice and the entire French Riviera. Use common sense. Be aware of pickpockets in crowded places. Hide your Rolex. When going out in the dark, don't go alone, especially if you're a woman. And avoid Nice's neighborhoods called Les Moulins and L'Ariane. So we asked some random people on the street, do you feel safe in Nice?
I would say absolutely yes, I do feel safe, especially as a young woman. I traveled here by myself from the United States, and I've been here for over like a month and a half now, and I walk around by myself, I'm out at night by myself, and I feel safe enough to go back to my Airbnb that I've been staying at, so.
Even
Yeah.
late at night?
Even late at night, yeah. Yeah, and the train station, like I've traveled around using the train. I just went to Saint-Tropez. Yeah, and then I came back around like evening time and it was still fine and everything. Everyone's super nice here. I actually want to move here.
So far, I felt very safe. No one has approached us or me in any way that made us feel uncomfortable. The town itself is beautiful and everyone's been very kind, very helpful.
Véronique, who's always lived in Nice, told us that she feels completely secure in the city. When asked about changes in security measures, she mentioned the installation of emergency call stations and traffic barriers along the Promenade des Anglais to protect pedestrians from cars. And she told us that the atmosphere is generally calm. And even as a woman, she feels comfortable walking alone until 10 p.m. No later than that, because she's not a night owl.
I do, and I think it's more because I don't know if I am allowed to say it, but I think it's because as a man you feel more safe than if you would be a girl. But if we are together in the city, then I feel totally safe. There's nothing to worry about.
And yeah, for me, we've only been here for a week, so it's the start of like a new experience here. And so far, I really haven't encountered something very strange, just men walking up to you and saying something. But that doesn't happen when we're together. So once you're in a group with a guy in the group, then it doesn't happen as much. But I have noticed if you're just with girls, then a lot of people will walk up to you and say something, which is also like at night, it's kind of scary because you think, okay, like what are their intentions?
But to sum it up,
I think it's still quite safe. I think for tourists it is safe. During the day there's nothing to worry about. Just at night, just be cautious, be aware of your situation, and if it is possible, be in a group.
A big thank you to Ellen, Charlowie, Véronique, Claire and Colette.
we really hope that you find this video helpful. If you want to get more information, useful information, tips and tricks about traveling on the French Riviera, we made a whole playlist for you called the French Riviera Survival Guide. I think this is the name of it. And it is covering various topics. So if you want, have a look.